We are keeping an eye on the White House briefing room. As you can see right there, the coronavirus task force is set to give an update on the outbreak really any minute. When it begins, we will bring it to you. In the meantime, schools closed, activities canceled, play dates off limits, and life interrupted. That is what children across the country are dealing with right now. Many too young to really grasp what is going on around them in large part, and that means some tough questions for millions of parents. I am definitely one of them. So as we've been doing throughout this crisis, let us turn to the experts. Joining me right now is Dr. Sally Goza. She's president of the American Academy of Pediatrics, and Tova Klein, the director of the Barnard College Center for Toddler Development. Thank you both so much for jumping on with me. Dr. Goza, this uncertainty is so scary for adults, so it's understandable it is just as scary for children of all ages. What is the most important thing that kids need to know when we are talking to them about the coronavirus?
So the most important thing is for parents to be reassuring to their children. We need to make sure to tell them that we are doing everything we can to keep them safe and healthy, and also to give them information. Children will do better if they have information, but we want to keep the information simple and in the terms they can understand. But we also can let children take some of the responsibility and take control by learning how to wash their hands, teaching them songs to wash their hands by, teaching them to cough into their sleeve, teaching them how to elbow bump instead of to shake hands, and all of those things are very important.
And Tova, you stress that the parents cannot, that this is not a subject that you can avoid with your kids, because they are going to hear about the virus from someone from somewhere. How should we be talking to them about the virus? What is important when for children of all ages?
Yeah, it's a really important question because they're hearing it everywhere. If they're 3, if they're 13, their worlds are filled with this, and particularly for younger children, but across ages, they don't know what this is. Mm-hmm. We don't fully understand it.
Right.
So they're hearing coronavirus, COVID, quarantine, self-isolate. They're hearing big words. Really, it's the coronavirus that they're hearing. So it's important to go to children and say, hey, you've probably heard this word, again, depending on their age, coronavirus. If they're a little bit older, you can say, what is it that you know about it, or what are you thinking? And you want to dispel myths for the older children. And for the younger children, like Dr. Goza was saying, you really need a lot of reassurance. This is a big word for something that we usually call a cold or the flu, so you're demystifying it. You know, the children count on the parents to filter the world, particularly young children, and to say, we usually call it the cold or flu. This is like a new cold, and a lot of people are getting it. And our job is to make sure that we don't give it to somebody accidentally. And then reassure children that, particularly for children, what we know so far in the data is that children aren't really getting sick themselves, but we know that they might pass it on to somebody.
They can, but most of them, yeah, exactly.
Right. So to say to them, you know, it doesn't really hurt children. It really doesn't usually hurt grown-ups either, because children need to know mommy and daddies are safe. They're safe. But we can do things to make sure nobody else gets it, and that's part of our job.
Giving them a little bit of the power. That's a common thread that I've been hearing from all of you that is really something that has been really, really helpful in trying to understand how to speak to my girls about this.
Yeah.
And Dr. Goza, when we first spoke, you told me something that I think is very important. I actually said it on the show yesterday. This is not like a snow day in terms of what's happening with school being closed. Why is that so important for parents to remember?
So this is so important. The social distancing is what's going to make this crisis go by faster and be resolved a little bit sooner with less casualties, less problems in the country. Mm-hmm. And so we really need to make sure that we are not treating this just like another day out of school. We need to have activities at home. We need to keep our kids engaged at home. And so that's going to be very important. It's very hard not to want to go have a play date when you're out of school for a day and everybody's feeling great. But that's where we need to really rein it in and say, no, let's stay home and play at home. Yeah. Let's do something at home. If you're an older child, let's find something to do at home. But still have contact with their friends through social media. They all know how to FaceTime and text. They can do that with their friends.
Yeah, and that starts at like the age of 0, how good they can operate a phone, as you quickly learn. And Tova, then there is the question about grandma and grandpa. Kids are quickly wondering, what does this mean for grandma and grandpa? Are they going to get sick then because this affects older people? Can I get them sick? Why can't we see them? What do you tell parents about this?
So this is a really important one because children are worried. You know, many of us have older parents and children have grandparents. So to say to them, part of our role is to make sure that older people like grandma and grandpa don't get it. So unfortunately, and it may be a little sad right now, we can't see grandma and grandpa, but you can talk to them. Maybe you do some kind of FaceTiming with them to say, but if we stay home and we protect ourselves and we can make sure that grandma and grandpa don't get sick. And again, it's a lot of reassurance in the same way.
And really quick, Dr. Goza, because the Academy has very important guidelines when it comes to screen time. Where are you on screen time in this moment of crisis?
So we still feel like limits are important. You should not let screen time interfere with your sleep, getting physical activity, social interaction, those kind of things. But there are a lot of good ways we can use social media right now. The older kids and even the younger kids can interact with their friends on social media for some time of the day. They can use it. You can watch things on social or on media, TVs and stuff together and enjoy that together. And I'm supposed to add in here that we will be doing the census is coming out as April 1st, and so you can fill out your census paperwork with your children and show them how important that is. But really and truly, there will be some loosening of the guidelines of the time that people will let their children be on social media. But sit down with your kids, especially your older kids, and set a limit on it. Let them self-regulate it some. So that's a really good thing to teach them some control as well.
Dr. Goza, Tova, thank you guys both very, very much. I really appreciate your time and your help. You gave me a lot of advice off camera as well, and I really appreciate it. If you'd like to learn more about the helpful advice given by Dr. Goza and Dr. Klein and other top experts, please check out the piece that we put together on CNN.com. We called it What I'm Telling My Kids About COVID-19.